So nice to talk to you about the new TV show Titans. Tell us a little bit about your character.
Well, Rachel is a troubled girl who doesn't know what's inside of her, but she knows that there's a darkness inside of her which comes out whenever she's emotional, like sad or angry.
So talk to me a little bit about the duality of this character, because she's an empath, but there is that darkness and that demonic, subconscious up to her. How is it playing that?
So she has a heart of gold, so she helps people, she wants to help people, she wants to heal people, she has that in her, but at the same time there's this other part of her who wants to hurt people and protect herself. So it's interesting to play both, and in her reflection she actually sees they kind of like split, and in her reflection she sees the more demonic version and she's the more healing person.
How will we see her grow throughout few episodes, and in terms of Raven and becoming Raven?
Well, throughout the season, she discovers more and more about her power, and throughout the series, like not just the season, but through the series as a whole, she gains more control over how she can use her power.
Fantastic. We're really excited for it. We've heard great things. Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. So you play the title, the main character on the show, and I'm hearing it's a very dark show. So were there any apprehension of taking on a role like this?
There was apprehension. I think the apprehension was basically just question marks as to how the writers and the producers would get the tone of the show right. And by tone, I mean, is it going to be like classic superhero, and are we going to be laughing? Is it light?
Which I'm hearing it's not.
Which it's not. It has that darkness, and they really invested into telling the backstory into the emotional lives of these characters. So that balance in tone was something that appealed to me.
Which brings me to an interesting question, because you're Dick Grayson / Robin, but in this tone, wouldn't you really more be the Dark Wing?
The Dark Wing?
Yeah.
The Nightwing?
I'm sorry, the Nightwing.
Darkwing's cool too. I'm sure there is a Darkwing somewhere. The story is about Robin Dick Grayson trying to leave Robin behind and form his own identity, which we all know from the comic books. He ends up becoming Nightwing. So it's really watching him find the confidence, find the whatever it is, find the right time to break out and basically become his own new superhero. And so we see a lot of the reasons why he leaves Robin, and a lot of that darkness and anger and frustration. We see him over the course of the series breaking out of that.
So will we see that transition flow, and will we get to that point of Nightwing?
I have not seen the final edit. I've only seen what you guys have seen, which is the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So I would love to say yes, but it may be cut in a different way. That's a boss question. That's a boss question. Yeah.
So just tell me a little bit about the physicality of this role for you.
Well, for the stunts for Robin, I learned a few choreographed pieces with my bow staff. So that was a new skill for me to learn, and the rest was mainly just hand-to-hand combat. Our stunt coordinator Lionel had a vision of very quick cuts, using the camera to create energy and in and out. So with that style, it allowed us to do most of our own stunts. There were no long wide shots with us, having to learn major pieces. We didn't really have the time for that. But I had a really cool stunt guy who was really talented, and he helped with all the flips and all the circus, acrobat physicality stuff.
Well, we're really excited for it. We're hearing great things. Thanks for speaking with us today.
Thanks so much.
All right, so it's a new series, and you play Beast Boy.
Beast Boy.
So tell me about Beast Boy.
Changeling, a.k.a. Garfield Logan. Well, that's actually his real name, but Beast Boy is kind of the goofy, pain in the ass, lighthearted kid that tries to, make sure when things are violent, when things are gritty and dark and DC, Beast Boy comes along and, tries to crack a joke and I don't know, make people smile.
So it's fun playing it.
It's the best, especially when the sets are dark and we're shooting late nights. I get to try and bring everyone's energy up and at the expense of my image. It's fine. It's okay. I don't mind. As long as, people are smiling and laughing.
Fantastic. So you get to shapeshift, but if you could shapeshift into anything, what would you want to shapeshift
It
into?
would be my Japanese zodiac is a boar. That's the year that I was born, and if I could shapeshift into a boar, that's another full circle moment. That would be kind of unbelievable. Yeah.
Interesting. So we hear that this show is dark and violent. If you could sum up in one word besides dark and violent, what would that word be?
It is a grayscale rainbow. I'm going to hyphenate that. It's a very colorful show, but it's not colorful in the sense of, traditional superheroes. It's the costume design has color, obviously, but we have so many shades, in the sense of we're playing with so many genres, we're playing with so many characters, so many different stories, and I'm genuinely surprised that the writers were able to even weave the entire story arc in one cohesive, current. Because at first we were waiting for some scripts to come out, and we were genuinely interested in the direction of the show. And when it all came together, my hat's off to the writers. They did a phenomenal job. Thank you guys for the effort that you put in.
Fantastic. We're really looking forward to it. We're hearing great things about it.
Thank you.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
meet you.
your time. Have a good
Thanks.
rest of your con.
You too. Hi, Minka. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great. So tell me about playing Dove. Tell me a little bit about the character and what we can expect for her this season.
I play Dove, part of a duo, Hawk and Dove. Dove is the avatar of peace and order, and Hawk is the avatar of war and chaos. They balance each other out really well. We get to see them, we're introduced to them in the second episode, and it's really fun. Jeff Johns and Akiva Goldsman has done such a great job of creating a world that's really grounded and real and more grown up than any other show you've ever seen, while still being able to maintain the superhero aspect of it, because that's also very important and a lot of fun. And so it's been just such a joy to be able to dive into these characters. The Hawk and Dove relationship is a very codependent one. So these characters are very flawed and damaged, and I'm so attracted.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Exactly. So that's why I find it to be so much fun, because it's so relatable and real, and we know these people and we know these relationships, and so it's a lot of fun.
So how will we see their relationship evolve? Because you say don't work with your significant other. So obviously and if they're opposites, there's going to be some push and pull there. So how will we see them evolve through the season?
It's interesting, actually. We kind of go backwards. You get to see our origin story as the season goes on. Later on in the season, you'll actually see where Hank and Dawn meet for the very first time, and before Dawn is Dove. So you get to see how she becomes Dawn. Keeping all the Dawns and the Doves.
It's too confusing.
Yeah. Even on set, it's funny. Dawn. AWNON.
You need a nickname. Anyway, we hear that the series is a little dark and violent.
Yes.
So besides those two words, give me one other word to sum up this season.
One word?
Yeah.
Okay.
One word. That's all you get. It's a challenge.
Compelling.
Ooh, I like that word. Why do
Yeah.
you say compelling?
Just because it's a story of lost souls and, lost identities and people with broken hearts trying to find themselves and their voices and learn who they are.
Fantastic. I think even though they're superheroes, people will relate to them as characters.
Absolutely, and I think that the benefit of being able to do this sort of storytelling as a superhero is you get to see humans be ordinary and also extraordinary at the same time, which is a really fun opportunity.
Absolutely. We're really excited. We hear great things about the show. Thanks for talking with us. Hi, Jeff. How are you doing today?
How are you, Allison?
I'm good. So it's a brand new series. Tell us a little bit about it from your perspective.
Sure. It's an adaptation of the famous Teen Titans comic book. Really looking at the Marv Wolfman, George Perez run and adapting those characters. So Dick Grayson, after he's left Batman as Robin. Rachel Roth, who's Raven, who's the daughter of a demonic entity and struggling with her own internal darkness. Coriander, Starfire, who's an alien, and in the show when we meet her, she has no memory of who she is or what she is. And finally, Gar Logan, who's a teenager who was infected with a strange disease that ultimately
gave them the ability to turn into animals. So, you know, they have a lot in common.
You've had a long run with this show in terms of getting it created, and it was going to be with a different group, and now it's here where you are ended up. Tell me a little bit about that journey for you as a producer.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Akiva Goldsman and I started working on this thing years and years ago, and it's gone through a lot of changes, and you know, it's been a roller coaster trying to get it here. But the fact that we're here this week is a lot of fun. But it was about, you know, passion and also just figuring out, you know, what Titans would be. There was a point where Dick Grayson wasn't really in the show, wasn't allowed to be part of the Titans show, and it never worked. And we were like, it's not going to work without Dick Grayson. And eventually, you know, we got everyone to give us permission to build the show around him. And that's when the show really figured itself out.
Okay. So I know it's based on Teen Titans, but it's really much darker and more violent than Teen Titans was. Are you afraid of maybe putting off some of those Teen Titan fans?
I think there's a reason for the darkness. There's a reason that, like, we look at Rachel's story and she's struggling with her internal darkness, and Dick Grayson, we wanted his story to mirror hers, and he's struggling with a different kind of internal darkness. And the violence just was born out of that, you know. And, you know, when the Marv and George did their comic books, they pushed the envelope on stuff, and that was in the 80s. And so we need to really, you know, for us, we want to do something different. And pushing the violence, it's supposed to startle you. You're supposed to look at Robin like Hawk and Dove do, and react like, what happened to you?
Hi, Anna. I love that. Yeah. So you play Starfire, who is an alien princess.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, she doesn't know who she really is.
No,
so
she
tell
doesn't.
me about that.
Yeah, when we meet Starfire in the first episode, she's been in an accident and has amnesia and does not know anything about herself or where she is or how she got there, and that was fun to do. Yeah.
Tell me why it was fun. I would think it would be kind of confusing and chaotic.
No, it's fun because then you just kind of get to like wake up and pretend to, you know, like
Be somebody else?
yeah, like me the first 10 minutes every morning I'm like, what bed am I in? Like, not what bed am I in, but like,
Oh, wait a minute.
but like, you know, like just, you know, you're trying to find that, but that lasts for a bit longer for her.
So how does she evolve throughout the season?
You know, her evolution is quite extraordinary considering that she doesn't remember much. But yeah, she goes through a lot of trauma and she learns to trust herself very quickly because she has nothing but her instincts guiding her. And yeah, I can't say too much, but yeah, she does evolve in a really cool way.
So a lot of what the theme has been so far has been about like interpersonal struggles.
Yeah.
Obviously, she doesn't really know herself, but does she have a certain sense that there are some inner struggles within her?
Yeah, she has like this deep knowing that she's supposed to do something really important. You know, like when you go to the grocery store and you're like, I was supposed to get like something that I need.
No, for me, it's I walked into a room and what did I want?
Every time. Oh my God, it worries me. That feeling, but like times 1,000, right? So yeah, there is this thing that she knows she's supposed to do.
So the show's being described as dark and violent. Mm-hmm. Besides those two words, give me one other word to sum up the season.
2 words.
2 words. All right. We'll
Twisted fun.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's the best I think is, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We can't wait. Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Nice talking to you. So let's talk about Hawk.
Okay.
He's described as an offensive bruiser. What does that mean?
Oh, nice. I didn't know he was being described that way, but I like it, and it makes sense. I think people are offended by somebody who says what's on everybody's mind. You know, I don't know. What kind of world do you want to live in? One where everybody's really brutally honest, or one where everybody like sugarcoats everything? I would prefer the Hank Hall world, you know? So, you know, you say offensive, I say honest. You know, and he's a vigilante. You know, he's going to take it into his own hands to make this world a better place, and it takes its toll on him. But I think that's what I love about him.
We were speaking with Minka about Dove and their kind of relationship. So, from your perspective, how do you see their relationship going this season, and the backstory that we learn about them?
Well, if she wasn't such a, flirt, maybe it'd be going better. Looking at you, Brenton Thwaites. No, but I see.
He's calling you out. Wait a minute.
Look, this guy is so in love with Dawn. He'll do anything for her. He'd die without her. And I don't think she's quite moved on from her past, which is true for a lot of us. I mean, a lot of us have a hard time, even people that have been together for a very long time and truly do love each other. We still have images that pop up of like girlfriends or boyfriends from her past and the what ifs. And, it's understandable that somebody would go through that, but I think because somebody may be there and Hank is just this head over heels smitten kitten, it's...
We love that.
you
and
know,
I can see the two of you being really cute together. So thanks for talking with us. We're really looking
Thanks so
forward
much.
to seeing their relationship.
Thanks, I appreciate
Thank you. Let's talk about Titans. This has been a long journey for you as one of the creators. So it's based on Teen Titans, but decidedly darker. So why was the decision made to go in that direction?
Well, the comics that we're based, the comic run that we're basing these on, which are the Marv Wolfman and George Perez comics, were very mature for that time, and they were dealing with real psychological issues that we're dealing with here too. And one could call them adolescent issues or individuation issues, but these are folks who are still in the shadow of their upbringings. Pointedly, Dick Grayson lives in the shadow of Batman, and and is actually a kid who was weaponized at age 10. I mean, he's not normal. So we wanted to sort of take these folks who are not quite kids, but not really full-on individuated adults, or at least not their own adults yet. And it felt like an adolescent issue, or a late adolescent issue, which is really mid-20s. So no more teen.
Which a lot of people struggle with, going through that transition from teenager to adult, certainly. So I think a lot of people will relate to these characters. Talk to me about putting this cast together.
We were just, there's a lot of, it's just a lot of good, hard searching on the part of casting directors and us really wanting to be true to a few ideas that really matter, I think, today. One is have the spirit of the character embodied in the actor. Be diverse. Be aware that we are painting a world the way we wish it looked, and that is our responsibility as storytellers. And then get lucky. You're right. We got lucky.
A little bit of luck.
Yeah.
What do you want fans to take away from season 1?
I'd like them to see Robin in a way they haven't before. I think he's underexplored, and I'd like them to consider the realities of Bruce and Dick's relationship, of what that might have really been like. I think that would be neat as an addition to canon, and I'd like for them to have fun.
So a little complex, a little fun along the way, a little violence. All right, we got it. Well, thank you. We're really excited.